Hello everyone, you're welcome to this edition of The Inside on Equinoxe Television. I am Bable Jonathan. In this edition of the program, we are taking you into the world of refugees, notably Cameroonian refugees in neighboring Nigeria. They are in the thousands who fled their homes in the northwest and southwest regions of the country because of the armed conflicts going on there for close to 5 years and are now seeking refuge in different parts of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We will also talk about internally displaced persons within the national territory, Cameroonians who were living peacefully in their homes in the northwest and southwest regions of the country but had to abandon everything to seek refuge and safety in other parts of the country. We're going to be talking about this in this edition of the program. Meet our guest in some few seconds. Our guest today, Dr. Atangcho Celestine, is a civil society leader, board chairman of the Community Refugee Relief Initiative, CRRI, a humanitarian committed to improving the living conditions of internally displaced persons in Cameroon and Cameroonian refugees in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Doctor, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Babla.
The organization which you're leading has been meeting with these IDPs at the level of the national territory, notably in different regions of the Republic of Cameroon, in the Francophone and as well as in the English-speaking regions that are in crisis for close to 5 years today, and also the refugees in neighboring Nigeria. What are the latest figures or statistics on the ground?
Thank you again for having me, Babila. As far as statistics go, you have different sources that give you different numbers. We've had about 80,000 refugees in Nigeria. In Cameroon, we've had about 2 million internally displaced. But we are not very worried about the numbers. We know the numbers are there. It is the individual stories that touches us. We've seen homeless, of course, they're homeless and they have been displaced to internally in different parts of Cameroon. Some of them are living in very, very terrible conditions. Hunger is a big problem. In Nigeria, besides the hunger, and they also have security problems. They've been harassed by the local authorities in Nigeria in some cases. And then the stipend that they get, those who are in the refugee camps, is not forthcoming. So the situation is very dire.
Harassed probably because of identification issues, probably because of things like permission or residence permit.
Correct.
And things like that.
That is right. That is right. But the good news is that the local authorities are beginning to solve those problems, and they are less and less seen.
Right. Coming back home, you've been meeting with some of these refugees in the west region of the country, in the northwest region, and other parts of the country. What are the stories that they tell you?
Hunger is a big problem. Health issues. We receive on a daily basis very difficult health situations that with the little resources we have, we try to help. The big thing is hunger. We've been able to provide foodstuff, medications to a lot of them in Douala, Banga, Chang, and Bamenda. We have decided to be more sustainable with them, and that is why the training program, we're trying to focus more on the training program.
Right, we're going to get into more details about that training program. There are reports of some of the internally displaced persons, especially young girls, who have been forced into some kind of sex business because of the difficult and horrible conditions in which they find themselves today, unable to put food on the table every day. Did you meet some of them? Did you get to know more about these stories?
Yes, unfortunately, that is a sad reality. I have traveled to Douala and Yaoundé and have seen that firsthand. And it's really sad that our little girls are being forced to be exposed in this kind of situation.
And there are also reports about children children
Yes.
unable to go to school.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's really sad. And the sad thing is that everybody seems to be going about their business as if everything has been solved. But the problem is still there like it was 2 years ago, it was 5 years ago.
And those who are out of the country could be facing issues of harassment, as you indicated. But beyond that, the fact that they are out of the national borders, what are other challenges that have come to worsen their situation because of the fact that they are away from their motherland, they are away from home?
Just imagine, Babila, that as we're talking here, you find yourself in Nigeria, unprepared. You know, you don't know where to sleep. We've seen people sleeping in churches, and they have to leave during the day, come back at night to sleep. You see 16-year-old girls, they don't have a parent out there, and they have like 3 or so siblings that they have to cater for. It is really terrible, the situation that our people face out there in Nigeria.
And there were also reports of issues with obtaining farmlands to do some kind of cultivation of crops that could help in their quest for food, but they were finding it quite difficult with this, getting farmlands over there in Taraba State, in Benue, and elsewhere.
Yes, some of them have been able to organize themselves, get a farmland, do community farming, and share the proceeds. But you know, these farms, they're dependent on their hosts to be able to give them these farms. It's challenging because they get harassed. The thing about the refugees is everybody knows that they can harass them and get away with it. And so they are very vulnerable.
They are very vulnerable. Now, when you talk to them, did they tell you that they have been receiving Cameroonian authorities who are or who have the prime responsibility to protect them, to give them food, and to ensure their safety and security?
I haven't heard any of such. What I hear about is the UNHCR that is supposed to provide them with sustenance and security in some form. But again, they get harassed continuously, and the little stipend that they're supposed to receive is not forthcoming. They can go 3, 4, 5, 6 months without receiving. We're talking about like $5 a month. That is not forthcoming. So they are forced to starve, literally starve, and some of them have even committed suicide. We've heard of those stories.
Some of them have committed suicide.
Yes, in the camp in Ogoja.
Right. When you discuss with them, what are the opinions that you get from the conversation with them? The opinions about what's happening back home, about returning home one day and things like that.
The average refugee out there in Nigeria has no political say. They care for their safety and well-being, and they would like to return home if the conditions at home permit them to do so. And that's the unfortunate thing, because they don't have a say about what is going on. They just want to have peace, tranquility, and a possibility for them to care for their loved ones and themselves.
They're just seeking to live.
Absolutely.
All right. We're going to talk about how you've been trying to kind of improve on their living conditions, and of course, how you've gone as far as not only giving them food and probably some money, but also teaching them how to fish.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll come to that in a short while. Thank you, Immaculate Fogwe, for the press review. We're talking about internally displaced persons in the Republic of Cameroon, persons kicked out of their homes by the 5-year-long armed conflict going on in the northwest and southwest regions of the Republic. There are many who are now seeking refuge in neighboring Nigeria, and one of the civil society non-governmental organizations bringing some aid, striving to improve on the living conditions of these Cameroonians who are out of their homes within the national territory, out of their homes in neighboring Nigeria, is the Community Refugee Relief Initiative, CRRI. And of course, we are having as guest today Dr. Atangcho, Celestine, who is the board chair of that organization. What have you been doing to improve on the living conditions of these Cameroonians?
Okay, I'll just give you a little recap of how this whole thing started. February 2019, it was my birthday, and I was planning a trip to go celebrate my birthday, and a friend sent me disturbing videos of the refugees in Nigeria, and I decided to go see for myself what the situation is. And on that trip, I went with my wife and a friend. 3 of us, never been to Nigeria before. When we went to Nigeria, what we saw was terrible, to say the least. We saw little girls pregnant, went to the refugee camps. There was like people in a flea market in their numbers. And there was hunger situation. We visited the local health clinic. There was barely anything. Fortunately, we came with a lot of foodstuff. And this trip was made possible by the community in Delaware, United States, and the surrounding. The churches also contributed to this trip. So what we saw made us to want to do more. We came back to the United States and decided to form Community Refugee Relief Initiative in May of 2019, so that we can better prepare ourselves to help them in the long term. And we went back to Nigeria, December of 2019. This time we decided to train them in career, vocational training, so that they can be able to care for themselves and their families. And in that trip, we enrolled over 300 refugees in different trades: carpentry, tailoring, hairdressing, etc. And there was some attrition, and the number dropped to about 260, which have been consistent in the training. Last year, or 2021, April, we graduated the first batch of 120 refugees in Nigeria. And we are hoping that we'll be able to provide them with startup support so that they can be able to maximize their success in the training program.
What's the response from the beneficiaries?
Very appreciative, very appreciative. They are doing their best to survive, to attend training in spite of the hunger and transportation issues. Unfortunately, we are not able to provide transportation and feeding during the course of the training. We have resources to provide only tuition, and from time to time we provide some food stuff to help them. But coming to work on a daily basis is challenging. That's the biggest challenge.
So how are they managing to be able to go through the training? Because for them to be able to learn, to obtain the skills that you bring into them, they have to be available. They have to be on the different sites. You're carrying out the training in which of the states? In Taraba, in Benue?
We are carrying out the training in Cross River State and Taraba State, in 6 different LGAs, local government areas in Nigeria. And back to your question, how do they survive? Sometimes it's very difficult to understand how these refugees survive, to be honest. But I know that they do their best. From time to time, they don't show up for training because they have to go look for what to eat. So we have that understanding with the trainers to give them that leeway to be absent every so often to go look for food and sustenance.
All right, so so far, those that you have trained already, we are still talking about the refugees who are in neighboring Nigeria, those that we have trained so far. Are they already able to use the training, to put the training to practice, to be able to earn something?
Yes,
for a living?
A handful of them have. Some of them have managed to look for resources somewhere, and they have opened up little workshops. Others are working in existing workshops. But our biggest challenge now is to provide them with startup opportunities. At the moment, we have already acquired the building in Equinoxe, Nigeria, and we want to open workshops where they can come in and put into practice what they have acquired in the training centers.
Right, you're planning to open workshops for them. Are you also planning to give them some kind of basic capital to be able to start doing something with what they have acquired as skills?
Yes. The workshop that we are planning to open in Ecom serves that purpose. So they're going to come in, the workshop will be well equipped, and they will come in and they'll be able to monetize with what they're able to produce at the workshop based on the training. In some other areas, like in Ogoja and Calabar, we're probably going to provide them with some little capital so that they can start up something for themselves.
All right. Now, before we come to this, what you're doing already at the level of Cameroon within the national territory, you started in Chang and then Bamenda. When you put together these facilities, this aid that you're bringing to them, do you consult them, or you just consider that this is what they need and then you bring in the training?
Very good question. Before we embark in any training, we do what we call a need assessment, where we give them a questionnaire and get some feedback from them to know exactly what they want. And in Cameroon, we started this program 3 months ago. In July, we started with a questionnaire, went to Chang at the SDO's office in Chang, and also in Bamenda at the Funds Palace in Quen. So we invited the IDPs to come, and they would give them a questionnaire, and they filled out their interests, what they wanted to learn, and what skills they want to acquire. So from that questionnaire, we're able to do the selection. And in total, we had over 400 questionnaires filled out.
All right, from the questionnaires, what did you obtain as a result as per the training that they're receiving in terms of specialties or different domains, different trades?
Yes, we did provide to them, because prior to this, we had to find different workshops that are equipped enough to give them quality training. So we gave them what was available and also gave them the opportunity to suggest from that list if there's something that's not available. So from that questionnaire, we're able to process that and see exactly what the trend is.
From the videos, we could see something like mechanical training in mechanics, and then other trainings that you offer. Can you throw more light on that?
Yes, we have train them in auto mechanics, and we have specialties in panabeating, regular auto mechanics, and auto electrician. We have metal work, we have glass work, we have tailoring, we have hairdressing, we have computer training as well.
How many came for the training in Chang?
In Chang, because of the resources that we have, we're able to start with 32 IDPs in Chang, and in Bamenda 29.
Why the choice of Chang as far as the West region is concerned?
We realized that Chang is a hub for refugees coming from particularly Lebelem, and also I was surprised that I found a lot of refugees from Ndop, Banso, and Wum in that area.
It's like a meeting point.
It is.
For IDPs coming from the southwest and the northwest.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was very interesting to find out. And the SDO's office in Menua, when Chang is, they have done a good job to document these refugees, these IDPs, and so we have a solid database that we can work from. So we're just piloting this program in Chang and Bamenda. The plan is to expand as the means is available. So we had to start somewhere, and that's why we chose Chang and Bamenda.
All right, in Bamenda, were there many of the IDPs who came out for such a training?
Yes, same thing we did in Chang, we did in Bamenda. We provided those questionnaires, and the funds palace in Kwen is usually where we meet with the IDPs to administer the questionnaires and to get some feedback. And I think we had over 150 that came out from Bamenda.
150. That's quite significant with regards to the atmosphere, which is not very, very favorable. And sometimes when some of them, when we talk with some of them, they will tell you that when they start associating themselves with some of these kind of initiatives from NGOs and once again from government, they are tagged as blacklegs or betrayers, and some of them find themselves in difficulties with those who are fighting for cessation and so on.
Yeah, it is a challenging environment to work with. One of the things that we try to make very clear is our apolitical stance. We try to be as organic as possible with humanitarian work. And that is helping a lot, and they have confidence talking with us and dealing with us because we have a humanitarian agenda and nothing more.
The humanitarian agenda and nothing more. And that's where my next question comes in, because some of the humanitarian organizations like yours are often accused of coming with some hidden agenda, coming with some intention to destabilize, conniving with the armed separatists and things like that. Recently, we had Médecins Sans Frontières or Doctors Without Borders that suffered these kind of accusations and were suspended in the Northwest region, and even in the Southwest region recently, the authorities said they were conniving with non-state armed group fighters. How are you managing to keep yourself away or above some of these kind of accusations that can become a barrier or hindrance to your activities?
Yeah. First of all, we are registered here in Cameroon and also in Nigeria. So we have respect for local authority. And we have made that a policy to stay apolitical. That message has been echoed in our organization, and every staff of CRRI knows that we are very apolitical. We have a board of directors of CRRI that has comprised of people from all walks of life. The thing is, everybody has their political stance, but we are telling them to bury that and let's talk humanitarian. We're not going to give up because of the possibility of being tagged one way or another, but we try as much as possible from our own end to be apolitical as possible, not only in what we say, but in what we do.
Principle of neutrality.
Absolutely.
Principle of impartiality. Those are some of the core principles of humanitarian action. Now, in Bamenda, you said about 150 came for the training. Did you take in all the 150?
No, unfortunately, we were only able to take 29 in Bamenda. And the others that were not able to participate in this phase, they're going to have the opportunity to participate in the next phase. Another thing that we have difficulties with is some people, a lot of them drop out. You know, when they hear that there's an NGO in town with some outreach, they run, they come, and because of the state of their situation, hunger and all of that, they are looking for something instant.
They're looking for survival.
They're looking for survival. So when they realize that this training is going to last 1 year, 3 years, some of them are discouraged. And you can understand from where they're coming from. They are hungry. They want to survive. They are thinking about today. Yeah. But when they understand that it's long term, so some of them drop out, unfortunately, and we have to replace them.
What do you tell them to convince those who are actually going in for the training and are flowing with you in the training? What do you tell them to convince them?
That is the main reason that I came in person to talk with them and encourage them to stay the course. Some of the trainers are also helping them to give them a little bit of something, to quench down the hunger. And there's no easy way out. We just have to encourage them to stay the course. And hopefully when they're done with their training, their lives will not be the same.
Helping them to understand that they need some kind of long-term tools that will help them not only to have what to eat today,
Exactly.
but to be able to fend for themselves.
Absolutely. We're trying to teach them how to fish,
Right.
pretty much.
The big thanks for staying with us. We are still with our guest, Dr. Atangcho Celestine, is the Board Chair of Community Refugee Relief Initiative, CRRI. Now, let's talk about the next phase, or how far you intend to go with these initiatives, because there are still probably thousands and thousands who are expecting, hoping that they too will have the opportunity to acquire some skills that will help them carry on with life. How far do you intend to go with this?
The only thing that is going to limit us, Babila, is resources. As far as the resources are there, we're going to push to whatever level that will take us to. I told those I met on the ground, especially those who were not able to join this phase, there's definitely going to be phase 2 of this training. That is for sure. We're also being very careful because we want to be able to provide startup opportunities after graduation. So we don't want to bite more than we can chew. So to answer your question, if we have the resources, we will take it to the level that will lead us to.
All right, though you are a humanitarian organization and you're supposed to be impartial and of course neutral, are you receiving some aid from within Cameroon and without to be able to carry on with this? Or you're depending on yourself and other persons who are collaborating with you?
Yes. Right now, we have been able to stay afloat thanks to donations from individuals. The board members of CRRI, when push comes to shove, we have to dip our hands deep and see how we can support the program. There are times where we have gone to a level where account balance is 0, and we have to deep in our pockets, put some money on the table so that we can continue with our activities. We have some friends who have come to appreciate what we do and the support. So for right now, only individuals.
Earlier on, you talked about Dynamic Alliance,
Yes.
USA.
Dynamic Alliance USA is a group of young Cameroonians in the US in their 20s. So they approached me and they wanted to support the training program in Cameroon. And I invited them to partner with CRRI so that we can do this together. And so what you see on the ground today in Chang and Bemanda is thanks to the efforts of CRRI and Dynamic Alliance USA.
All right, you're certainly not only trying to help those who are in this situation because of the conflict that is going on, but you probably and certainly, like every other person of goodwill, looking up to that day when the killings, the destruction will come to an end, so that the numbers of IDPs and refugees will not continue increasing.
Absolutely. If you come to a house that is flooding, the first thing you turn off the tap. So if you don't have that sustainable solution from the origin of the problem, then you cannot contain the exponential effect of the situation. So you're quite correct. We are looking for that day where this whole thing will come to an end.
Do you expect it so soon? Do you see that it's going to come soon?
We can only be hopeful, Babylon.
All right, we can only be hopeful. We are communicating hope.
Absolutely.
Communicating hope to everybody. Hope for better days ahead.
Absolutely.
When we will go back to our peace, stability, and people will be able to move around freely and live without fear.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks so much, Doctor, for coming to talk to us.
My pleasure, Babila. Thanks for having me.
Safe return to the United States.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us in this edition of The Insight. That's it for today. Bye-bye.